can approach here for listening. Tobacco plantation. You can see the tobacco plants very, very small. Why? Because the season, the tobacco season just started. It started September 21. So they are just only baby plants. But months of December, January, that tobacco plant, each tobacco plant will be 1.50 meters, 1.60 meter high. And that's the moment like this. So that's the moment where the tobacco farmer select the leaves, each leaf for combining the leaves for rolling the cigar. Okay, so after the tobacco, after being here in the field for 3 months up to January, February, we take all the tobacco leaves, once selected by the tobacco farmers, and we put it inside the dry house. And we are going to see the dry house and the following process. Cuando estén todos, ¿me puede alguien hacer el proceso?
Yeah.
Everybody come in. Is everybody here? No? Okay, so that's the beginning. The tobacco seeds. Look at that. Tobacco seeds. Put your hand. A little bit. It's like powder, but those are the seeds. Each seed, tiny seed, is 100 tobacco plants. No. No. That's not true. Each seed is a tobacco plant. It's just one tobacco plant. Okay? So you can see
From your hand.
Oh. Oh. You will become rich. Okay, so no, then we have to recycle. So put it here inside everybody, okay, inside, because they are not so much. The tobacco seeds are given by the government. Why? I will explain that later why. So, tobacco seeds, that's the beginning. Once we have the tobacco seeds, we prepare seedbed. We prepare seedbed beside the river, not here, beside the river. On September 21, then we replant again the tobacco plants outside where we saw the tobacco plantation till month of January, December. Then is the hard part of the process. Why the hard part? Because it's a time when the tobacco farmers are going to select. They are going to make every 7 days, 3 different crops to the same tobacco plant, in the same tobacco plant. That's the hard part, because they have to select the leaves. Once they have all the leaves selected, they will put there inside this dry house from up to down for making a space, for having more space, for up to down. You see them over there? That's just a sample. That's just a sample, okay? So it's a sample, so how we dry the tobacco leaves. That's the way we dry the tobacco leaves. Till the months of May and June. Why May and June? Because those are the raining months in Cuba. It's the raining season in Cuba. So that's why from the outside we will feel in those months high % of humidity level. very high percent. So once the tobacco leaves are dry by those months, they will get very, very flexible because of the humidity in the outside due to the rainy months. And it's the time that the tobacco leaves, when the tobacco leaves are ready for rolling because they won't break. They are flexible, okay? So it's the time for the first fermentation process. First fermentation process, completely natural fermentation process with any chemical product. They will be in the same fermentation process for over 1 month more. Inside, you see, that's the yagua. Inside here, for the first fermentation process, that's the yagua. That material we use for cover the package is called yagua. Yagua comes from the royal palm tree. The royal palm tree, our national tree, the green part, when the green part of that royal palm tree, the highest part is dry, so we use the yagua. That's the yagua that we call for covering the package for the first fermentation process, completely natural. After that, all the tobacco farmers, all of them, it's mandatory to give to the government 90% of their crop. 90%. Then they keep the 10% for the consumption of the family or just for selling. They are allowed to sell it, but only 10% of their crop. 90% for the government. That's why the government provides them with seeds, tobacco seeds, because at the end they will have the majority of the production of the tobacco leaves. So the government takes the tobacco leaves and go to Havana, for instance, in their factory, in the government factory, so the cigars brands like Cohiba, Monte Cristo are made in the government factories in Havana, using the tobacco leaf from those tobacco farmers from viñedos.
How do you harvest the seeds? Where do they come from?
The seeds,
Yeah, like what part of the plant?
¿De qué parte de la planta viene la semilla? The flower, the tobacco flower, yes.
Okay.
Because we have the tobacco plants, but each tobacco plant has flowers.
La planta, los 3 meses florece.
After 3 months, the tobacco plants flourishes. So we have flowers, the tobacco flowers. That's the place where we get the seeds out of the plant, the tobacco flower. And it's the same flower that we use for the aroma.
Esto es bueno. Suele tener semilla.
So, if we move that, you can listen the seeds inside. But that's old flower. That's not new flower, okay? That's not very fresh. So, in this case, he's a tobacco farmer.
Hola.
He's a tobacco farmer. ¿Cómo te llamas? Osmani. His name is Osmani. And he will, Osmani, he will make for you a cigar for you to see how they roll, how they make their own cigars, okay? Pero de afuera es otra planta diferente. ¿Vamos a sentar ahí?
No, aquí, la mesita que
Ah, no, in the other two. So, everybody can take a video, can take pictures, while Osmani is rolling the cigar.
Tengo. Por esa ley. A lo que estamos metiendo. Brisa como una cosa. Sorry.
He's a little bit sick.
Para hacer un puro necesitan 3 tipos de hojas diferentes.
So we need, in order to make a cigar, you need 3 different leaves.
Tripa, capote y capa.
So the cigar is divided in 3 parts. The filter, which will be the heart of the cigar. Then we have the binder, and then the wrapper leaf, which is the final leaf, and must be the most beautiful leaf.
Capote, tripa y capa.
Okay, so we have here, so that's for the filler, that's for the binder, no, esa es la capa, ¿no?
Ajá.
Filler, binder,
Ropa.
and wrapper. Wrapper leaf, that's the wrapper leaf. The end, the last part of the process.
Le quita el nervio central que no contiene más nicotino.
We remove the central vein of the leaf. Why? Because that's the part of the leaf where we have most amount of nicotine.
Ahora, para depende del tamaño del todo.
Nicotine, more or less 75%.
Ahora, para el tamaño del puro, se necesita X cantidad de hojas, ¿no? Depende del tamaño.
So depending on the size, that's why you can see different sizes. Okay? Depending on the size, you will need more or less amount of leaves.
Esto se pone en un molde de una prensa, 25 o 30 minutos.
So after that, rolling, what it is the filler with the binder, already with the binder, you need a mold, you need a press. You need to press that on a mold for 30 minutes, 25 minutes for acquiring the shape, for pressing all the leaves.
Yo le voy a pasar la capa directamente.
In this case, he, for you, just an example, he will put already the wrapper leaf. But the wrapper leaf must be wrapped after those 30 minutes.
En las fábricas hay una goma de origen vegetal. No tiene sabor.
And then we use, for the tip of the cigar, for not unbreaking, we use, for the tip of the cigar, we use a glue. Glue is vegetable glue, no smell, any color, no taste,
Yo lo usé
completely
rústico.
natural.
Yo lo usé rústico.
What's the size of this that he's making called?
¿Cuál es el tamaño de ese? ¿Cómo se le llama ese que tú estás haciendo?
Espléndido.
¿Eh?
Espléndido.
That's a Splendido. Remember Cohiba Splendido? Well, that will be not Cohiba, of course, but size Splendido. Why not Cohiba? Because Cohiba is a cigar with more than 2-3 years of fermentation process. That's why it's very expensive. So it's like a wine. In their second fermentation process, not in the first one, because the first one is made by the tobacco farmers at their home. But in the second fermentation process is the one made by the government at its factories in the cities, okay? So in that second fermentation process differs one from the other depending on the brand. Cohiba brand will be the brand with the highest, let's say, will the amount, the biggest amount of days inside the fermentation chamber, inside the fermentation chamber. Then we have the Montecrist and Romeo and Juliet around 2 years, 1 year and a half. But Cohiba more than 3 years. So it takes a lot of time to make Cohiba cigar. That's why the price. It's like the wine, as more.
Can I take these off?
Que se puede probar uno.
¿Lo podemos comprar?
No, ese no.
Ese no lo puedo probar. Ese no sirve para fumar ahora.
¿Tienes uno para probar o...?
¿Tienes alguno para probar, Osmani?
Por eso no ninguno pesa más.
Allí hay uno, yo creo que ahí hay donde yo eché las hojas.
Salud.
That one, but you cannot smoke that one.
Ese se puede fumar dentro de 3 o 4 días.
All right.
This cigar, you cannot smoke.
No, 3-4
You
days
cannot-
later, okay? Yeah.
You cannot smoke it right now because it's very fresh. Okay, you need to wait for 1, 2, 3, up to 3 days. Up to 3 days for smoking.
No, I am fine.
Estoy pasando lo que tengo.
Okay, he's preparing over there one cigar. You can pass it for tasting. In that case, we have they sell from belonging to their 10%. That's part of the 10% of that the family keeps. Okay, they sell different sizes of Creole cigars. Remember, Creole cigar, no brands, because the government is the only one allowed it to sell brands. You can pass it, okay, once you taste it.
No le da vuelta.
Ya está encendido.
Anda por todos lados.
Ya está encendido.
But this is sour.
No.
Huh? No, no,
Just
you cannot swallow, okay?
You can't inhale.
You cannot inhale, okay.
It's already lit.
No, está encendido. Está encendido, está encendido.
You cannot inhale.
no, this is not drink,
You
right?
can. Who wants to try? Who wants to try?
Don't break it down.
Bueno, estos son a 20, estos son a 30 y estos son a 40.
Okay, so that's a price. This group here has a price of 20. That one 30 and that one 40.
No
Ay,
sabe.
la fufolera, que no te olvides.
Este no sabe.
¿Qué tamaño es este? ¿Cómo se llama?
Esto es un robusto.
Robusto size.
Siglo VI, espléndido, panetela, siglo II,
Century, 6th century, 2 centuries. That's the name of the sizes. That's Esplendido, is one of the most famous ones. That's Robusto, is smaller.
You smell?
Okay, if you taste it, if you like,